God. I can't start this, Natalie, without saying thank you to Guild. A fellow B Corp member, it means a public benefit corp. That means you are committed to doing good. In addition, making money. If you don't do good, you're in big trouble with the board. So it's an intent, and it's a courageous thing to do. And if you're considering it, I highly recommend it. By the way, Guild, thank you. This has been a fabulous experience. I've met so many amazing people that work for Guild, and something's going right in your HR department because everyone's extraordinary, and it's been just a great event. And everyone's smiling and happy, and it's a really, really great place. So then I am so honored to be in this. 5 weeks ago, Wednesday, September 14th, was a very memorable day for me. I walked out of the hospital in New York at Cornell Will a week after cancer surgery. And I was so happy because that was the day that they detached all the things from me, and I was free, and I could walk outside, no more cancer. I got my results 2 days ago, actually, that I'm completely cancer-free. And it was a big day. It was a big memorable. And I was walking out, and the sun is shining in New York, and it's just an absolutely beautiful day. And I'm thinking how grateful I am to have had amazing doctors who took care of me in that moment. And I'm just loaded with gratitude. So I got in a cab, and I rode to Soho, and I had lunch set up with this amazing woman who said, "I want to have lunch with you, Dean." I mean, it had been my yes moment, so I'm like, okay, yes. And it turns out she's this energetic, wild New Zealander woman who's catching the world on fire around employee experience. And the very next day, actually right after lunch, she was going to head to Austin to do this big event. I'm like, you have a big event tomorrow. Why are you having lunch with me? So we just talked about employee experience and blowing up it and thinking differently about it. It was just a great conversation. So yeah, my day started out very memorable. And then I had this memorable moment with Samantha Gadd, blowing up an employee experience, and I really wanted to make it, but I just couldn't fly at that point. And then I thought, wow, a memorable day. And then I had dinner that night with Richard Hicks. Richard Hicks and I were both cheerleaders at the University of Texas, and we both came out together in the 80s, and it was a really difficult time to come out. It was likely that you couldn't get a job. It was certainly likely you couldn't marry the person that you loved. And it was just a difficult time when we all five of us all made cheerleader that year, and we all came out at the same time. It was a really weird moment. But anyhow, it was great to meet Richard. He's now a very successful real estate agent in New York, and it was just great to catch up and talk about life and where we were at University of Texas and where we are now. And it was a very memorable moment. I think my 3 big memorable things in this day, and those kind of what happened next is incredibly memorable because my phone blew up, my Instagram blew up, my Facebook page blew up. I kept getting texts all day long, and it was this. I don't know if you've read the news, but Patagonia has a new owner. This. The planet Earth. The planet Earth. So, Yvonne has been talking about this for a long time because he said the worst day of his life when he found out in Forbes magazine that he was a billionaire. So he's been trying to find a way to give away his money. So this is what he did. He said, I just wanted to do something that was for this planet in trouble. So anyhow, Earth is now the only shareholder of Patagonia. The way it works, in just a summary, is all of the wealth that his family created, the billions of dollars that happened, both he and his heirs, they have given it to the planet. It will only go to protecting the planet and climate and protecting beautiful, free, and open spaces so they can sequester carbon. So anyhow, it's hoped to by preserving these spaces, jungles, buying up land all across the world so they can sequester carbon and hopefully not just stop the crisis, but to reverse it. That's what he's doing. That's what he did with his fortune. And his heirs, by the way. And he paid his taxes. Then, all the money in perpetuity that are profit from Patagonia go to a different fund to do the same exact thing run by a nonprofit. Anyhow, he's done with it, gave all the money away, and now he's just going to figure out how to save the planet. So he could have, sold all the money, sold the company, and it could have just donated it at once. He could have gone public which when we talked about that, that was probably a worse option. And then he just said, I'm going to go purpose, and I'm going to work hard to preserve the very thing that creates wealth for all of us, the very resource we extract to create all wealth, if we think about it for a moment. So anyhow, his message at the end of his note, and he writes it, and it's a great one to read, is just basically the earth is limited. And he said, by the way, the earth is going to survive us even if we kill its ability to have a thriving place. I just want you to make sure that this is a thriving planet for my kids and my grandkids and your businesses. No planet, no business. Think about what's happening right now. How many businesses are operating in Florida at this moment due to a huge climate issue? Think about Pakistan. 1/3 of the country is flooded and 50% of their crops are unusable. What kind of business is going on in Pakistan? This times 10 is on the way. And he's trying to stop this so we can all stay in business. Anyhow, this is what he can do. He's going purpose. And I am so inspired by this man and the company that I got to work for. And I knew it was coming, and when it happened, it just blew up my day. That was a very memorable day for me in 4 big ways. So I left Patagonia in May, and just wanted to explore a new journey. And I just want to say, I've taken a lot of things with me on this journey, and I want to share those with you. So I have a lot of stuff on my journey that I think could be helpful for you on the journey you're on now, or one you're on in the future, and then people that you're responsible for in terms of their journey as well. So anyhow, I'm going to share that with you, and that is not me, but I'm going to show you what's in my backpack. I bought this the first day that I worked at Patagonia, and I have a few things in here, and I always keep them in here all the time. Actually, I do keep a copy of Let My People Go Surfing. It's circled and underlined, and once in a while I'm like, what did he say? And I read this. If you want a book on purpose and values, and how to live and work and play at work, it's in this book. Let My People Go Surfing. I don't get any money from this, and all the profits go to saving the planet. So it just. And I also have this thing. It's called a Houdini, and I always wear it when I speak. I wear it when I speak because it's neither hot nor cold. If you ask a person at Patagonia, like, what's your number one tool? And they're like, the Houdini. Because it kind of has an all-purpose thing. It also like wads up into a ball like this. It gets really small because if you have a backpack and you're hiking, you want things to be really small and tight. So any of this, everyone has one. It works. And the reason I use it usually when I speak, and if you've ever seen me speak before, you know I wear this Houdini. It's so you don't see me sweat. Like that's the main reason, is like this really protects me. So today you might see me sweat because I'm not going to put it on. I'm just going to be like this, and I'm going to tell you what's in my backpack. And I can't help but start with this, purpose. And I want to talk about purpose and what it really is. And I know a lot of you, I just want to say for a moment, there's a lot of ways of looking at purpose. And I'm going to talk with you about kind of all the elements of a really great purpose. And I really also want to say, and I'm going to follow up in a moment about our moment in time leading. We kicked ass in COVID, by the way. I'm going to talk about it, but we lifted. We could fight or flight, and we fought. And this whole organization really lifted in this time. Not only have a seat at the table, we have a full-on set of real estate to make change. It's not no longer the question of is there a seat, is how big is it and what are we going to do with it? Anyhow, you have full control over purpose. I'm just saying this. So anyhow, this is Patagonia's purpose. We're in business to save our home planet. I want to break this down. First is we're in business. So this is still a business. It still works. It's not a very inspiring place. If we're out of business, like that would not be a good purpose. So it is a business, and we just admit that in the beginning, to save our home planet. And I want to talk about this. It didn't save the planet. It's to save our home as a planet. Your home as a planet. The planet's going to be fine. If we kill it, we're just going to kill ourselves on it, and we'll be like the dinosaurs, and the planet will continue to go on. So anyhow, we're talking about this as our home and your home, to save it for your kids, my kids, and our grandkids in the future. So a great purpose has a few things. It focuses on priorities and actually delivers profit in the end, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But it is unique And Yvonne says that profit happens when you do everything else right. And I'll give you some really good examples of that in just a second. And I'll talk about these 4 things. Patagonia also belongs to 1% for the planet. What this means is we give 1% of top-line revenue, not profit, top-line revenue. If we don't make a single profit, we still give 1% of revenue to the planet. So you just saw our purpose. So I don't know, the election happened not too long ago, and Patagonia was like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? And it was in November, and Black Friday was coming up, and we always kind of have an event on Black Friday. And we're like, hand-wringing, what do we do? And the marketing team got together, and what do we do on Black Friday? And someone said, okay, instead of 1%, let's give 10%. And then a new person who had gone through new hire orientation, who knows our very clear purpose about saving the home planet, says, hey, what if we give it all away? What if we give 100% to the planet? And the head of marketing goes, cool idea. Calls the CEO and says, let's give all of our money away on Black Friday, the biggest day of the year. And she goes, cool idea. She calls the founder. We're going to give all the money away on Black Friday. Cool idea. In 10 minutes, we decided to give all the money away on the biggest day of the year. In 10 minutes. That is a clear purpose. So we thought, oh my gosh, we're going to give away $3 million in a single day. It's typically what we do. We gave away $10 million. $10 million. We didn't spend a dime on marketing. We just said, hey, we're going to do this. We're not going to close our stores. We're going to give all of our profit away. Our revenue, not profit, revenue. Anyway, a lot of people came, and they just kept buying and buying and buying. Purpose can equal profit. These things don't work in conflict with each other. Anyhow, here's another one. Purpose really matters to people. You know, over 80% of people say they want to work for a company that has a purpose. It's a big deal. And you know what? I think after COVID, people are like, why am I working? Like, what am I doing this for? I'm busting my butt every day for what? To make this person rich? How does that feel as a purpose? So anyhow, people are asking for it now. And millennials are very specific about it. 70% say they are choosing a company to work because of purpose. So anyhow, I know, and this is just recent research from McKinsey and some of the things they're talking about purpose and its importance. By the way, there are 2 things that are important, and Josh mentioned it, purpose and path. Those are the 2 things. I'm not going to talk about path today, but I just want to recognize how important purpose and path are, but these are the 2 things people are talking about. So on purpose, it matters to human beings, and I just want to say again, you have a seat at the table. You can, if you are looking at your purpose and you're like, that doesn't feel like it has meaning, you have the ability in the seat at the table now to say, let's think about our purpose a little bit more. And when what we state every single day, let's think about that statement and rephrase it, reframe it in a way which is meaningful to people. So here's what purpose is. It's why you exist. Why does this organization exist in the first place? Go deep, understand it. It's something different and unique to your particular organization. It's super helpful. Something that drives long-term value, not short-term value. It is in service to society in some way. I think about the healthcare organizations that are in this room. You are in the ultimate service to society. And think about what you do. Is it every single day you give people shots? No, every single day you save people's lives. That is the purpose that these organizations exist. And a compass for decision making every single day. So this is purpose. And this is in my backpack. I know what purpose is. I know what it looks like. I know what it does. And I'm hoping this kind of 4 elements is in your backpack too. So that's the first thing I want to put in your backpack. Put it in there. If it works, if it doesn't, we can move on to this one. Patagonia's value is environmental activism, and these are pictures of a value in action. Up there is a guy who is protesting for the planet, and you can see what is about to happen to him on the left-hand side. Over here, and I'll talk about what we do if that happens. These are people in Australia fighting for the Great Barrier Reef, which, by you know, is dying. And so they're trying to fight this and save the Great Barrier Reef in Australia. These are employees. These are women who are marching at the Capitol for climate policy change. And these are some surfers out by an oil rig who went out to protest offshore drilling, the continuation of it, and also getting rid of the rigs on the California coast. Anyhow, this is a value. It's environmental activism. This is it showing up at work. This is people working. These are kind of like, this is what you would do on a daily job at Patagonia. Here's also, we don't just protest, we do something. This is people getting their hands in the dirt. We give environmental internships for up to 8 weeks of paid time off. A store person, a warehouse worker, cafe worker, front desk, CEO, whatever, you can get 8 weeks of paid time off to go volunteer and do something, get hands dirty and make a difference. These are people who are doing some restoration and actually in Patagonia. You can see they're having a terrible time working today. This is the Extinction Rebellion in Amsterdam. I don't remember the protests that were really big in Europe about protesting the extinction of humanity, basically, is what they were saying. So this is our Amsterdam leadership team in the protest and getting arrested. You know, and I'll talk about what's happening in this. So everyone's there, and I'll show you. They're like there. That's the leadership team of all of Europe. And they're waiting. They're locked arms, because that's how we train them. We're all trained in peaceful protest training at Patagonia. That's part of like new hire orientation. So in addition to new hire orientation, by the way, you sit on this and you lock arms and you don't move and you just sit there and smile and like peacefully protest. That's a peaceful protest. That's what's happening. They clearly went to training. So, and if you get arrested, we'll pay your bail. Now, the reason the head of HR is not in this picture because someone has to pay their bail. We'll pay, if your spouse happens to tag along, we'll pay for their bail too. And paid time off for court. So this is a value. If we're going to value environmental activism, our benefits and our policies and our programs have to match those in ridiculous and wild ways. So anyhow, if in this situation, this guy in the hat on the left-hand side is the CEO of Patagonia now. He was promoted and is that. Years earlier, I was at Patagonia and we were doing a class on protest training. I'm like, so raise your hand if you've ever been arrested and put in jail for protesting for the climate. And only one person raised their hand, and it was the CEO, Rose Marcario. So apparently qualification to be CEO of Patagonia was to get arrested for the, it's part of the thing. I'd been arrested and put in jail. Okay, they weren't put in jail. They were actually taken to a field and just dropped off far, far away in Amsterdam. So they would actually not go to jail, but I don't know if jail may be a lot like being dumped in a field in Amsterdam. But anyhow, HR was ready to pay their bill. Her name is Evelyn, and she's a feisty Irish girl, and she was like, you ridiculous guys. And she stood on the side and watched this happen. But another value is unconventional approach. We specifically say that. So sometimes, people are excited about it. Sometimes they're not too excited about it. But this time, a designer took it in their own hands and decided to do this. We did not know. The leadership didn't know. He didn't get permission. He just said to the head of design, I think about putting this in a tag and a pair of shorts. What do you think? And she was like, okay, cool. And anyhow, we found out a bit because we read it in Esquire and BuzzFeed. We're like, what a Patagonia. I thought, oh my God, this is in the shorts. So this is a value, unconventional approach. The guy got praise for doing this. He did not get in trouble for doing this. This is exactly what we want people to do. By the way, we sold a lot of shorts. We sold all of the shorts. People were like hunting them down and opening all of the clothes to find out, if there was having some voting recommendation on it. So values, them because they are wild and ridiculous. Like you support them. There's a policy, there's a procedure, there's something in place to support them in wild ways. It's a verb, it's not a noun. It's a noun if it's on a plaque. Oh, those are our values. That's a noun. Action is when actually people do them and behave them every single day. Values are a verb. Values are a verb you value. So anyhow, I wrote this long list. This is where they should show up courageously. Policies, benefits, handbook, onboarding, leadership, rewards, in the cafe, at the front desk. And I said 360 degrees because for a value, you need to turn the volume, and heat it up and turn it up and turn it up until it is so warm and so loud and so bright that everyone sees it. We know that environmental activism is a value. I don't have to write it on paper. We know that unconventional approaches are a value because we reward it and talk about it every single day. Anyhow, this is a value. So anyhow, this is in my backpack. It is the partner to purpose. So it is how you show up for your purpose. So your purpose is your why, and values are the what you do and the behaviors you do to support that. And I have just a list of things that are important, but the most important thing is loud and clear. So anyhow, this is the second thing that I'm keeping in my backpack is purpose and values. This is a film of Patagonia. It's called Unbroken Ground. And if you don't know about Patagonia, every time we make a jacket, we destroy the planet a little bit. We haven't yet figured out how to make a jacket without destroying the planet less than everyone else destroying a jacket. So anyhow, we're not real proud of that, and we're trying to figure it out. We did find, Patagonia started as a company that made climbing equipment. We don't do that anymore. We make apparel and things and gear for climbing, backpacks and things. What we decided and what Vaughn said, okay, let's look at another business industry that actually we could reduce climate, and that is food. And this is a film about agriculture. So here's how agriculture works. I'll just explain it super fast. So you put a seed in the ground. The seed starts to grow. All these this incredible microbial community starts to surround the seed and the roots to help it move and grow. And what the plant does, it goes up into the air and it pulls down carbon. It literally starts pulling carbon into the earth, which enriches the earth. The plant grows over the year, gets to the end, makes corn, looks at the farmer and says, hey, look, I made corn. Farmer says, great, thank you for your productivity. Pulls the corn off the plant and goes, and we start the whole process again. So they slice into the ground, till, and it opens up the ground. And all of this community is destroyed. All the goodwill that is put into the ground. And after you do this over and over and over again, you have ground that cannot sustain itself. It's literally dead. It's exhausted. The soil is exhausted. So you need fertilizers because it needs more food. It needs pesticides because it can't defend itself from all the other things that are attacking it. It needs a lot more water. If we went to regenerative agriculture, which is no-till, an ancient form of farming, then we would not just stop climate change, we would reverse it if the entire world went to this. That's why 50 years from now, Patagonia would be a food company and likely not be selling clothes. This is where we're going. So this is important. Regenerative is an idea, and I thought, how do I take business models from Patagonia like regenerative and think about it as human beings? Like, how much are we putting into people at Patagonia, and what are we extracting? I even started to think about this. Is the performance review like, hey, thanks for making corn? Like this, you get a 2.5. And it kind of feels like that at the end of the year. Here's your thanks for producing, and here's your conversation. Even the engagement survey, the purpose of it is to measure discretionary effort. Like how much more are you willing to produce just on your own? So I started thinking about these two things. And not just how much are we taking out of employees, but what are we putting back in? What are we putting back into their lives, not just into their workday? So we did a big experiment a few years back, and we decided to test this theory. So we moved, and the company voted on a new schedule of work, where we worked 9 hours a day. We kind of agreed on that. And then every other Friday, we would close the office. And that would mean going forward, while we would do 9-hour days, every other Friday we would do 26 3-day weekends a year. And if you stack that on with the holiday, that's actually 4 4-day weekends also during the year that you get as well. So we worked with a local university and tested and asked hundreds of questions about people's lives. What's your relationship like with your spouse and your children? What's your ability to buy healthy food? Can you get to the doctor and dentist? All these questions we asked. 6 months later after this, we asked again. And this is what we found out. Over 80% said I could get outside more often and take trips, which I want to do with my life and family. 80% say had a more positive relationship with their spouse. How many people say, as a result of working, I have a lot better relationship with my spouse. Like that, 80% of people have a better relationship with their spouse as a result of working. 60% almost said, I had more time to go to the doctor and dentist. Like, how often is it like getting an appointment? When do you have to do that? Like, you have to take time off to do that. People go on that 980 Friday and they go to the doctor, they go to the dentist, they can make all their appointments, and then in the exact day that they can do those. They had more time to buy healthy food. Like, even to go to the grocery store, they had time to do that and prepare healthy foods for their families. Anyhow, and also it increased likelihood to recommend Patagonia, because they're like, guess what we have with this benefit, 980 Fridays. Decrease intent to leave. And then the original intent of this was our skiers and climbers were leaving, because you can't ski and climb in Ventura, California. It's a great place to surf, but terrible place to snow ski. So they were like, I'm moving to Montana. So we're like, okay, what if every other weekend you have a 3-day weekend and you can go to Montana every other weekend? They're like, yes. So anyhow, they left, and also, this was how we tested it. So and also Jeffrey Pfeffer wrote this really terrifying book, which is Dying for a Paycheck. And in it, he said, we're literally making people sick. We're working them so hard, they're literally ill. It's costing us money in our benefits, and also, he by his data, 120,000 excess death a year just caused by overwork and stress at work. So we do an employee experience survey, not an engagement survey now, and we ask, are you fully able to experience Patagonia's culture of life and work and play? And 80% say that. Almost 90% say, for as much as I put into my work, Pata gives back to me equal or greater value to my life. Almost 90%. And then over 91 says, I'm able to manage my work responsibilities in a way that helps me maintain a healthy balance between work and my life. These 3 questions end up mattering more than any other question we ask on the survey. What are we putting back into your life? And these things seem to matter to people the most. This is why they came back after COVID. There's a few reasons I'll talk about how we're putting back into people's lives, but regenerative practices matter. And so there's 2 things. You can read Dying for a Paycheck from Jeffrey Pfeffer, and I'm adding some books that you can read along the way. And this is a movie called Biggest Little Farm. And if you haven't seen it, it's about, oh, you saw it? It's good, isn't it? Yeah, it's about regenerative agriculture, and it's really good. This is part of New Hire Orientation. You either go surf or climb, or you visit a farm. And I'll show you some pictures of that in a moment. Anyhow, I think the second point is the best. Are people better than you found them? As a result of working for your companies, are they better? And it can be, better prepared for next, better prepared for the next disaster, better prepared. Are they more healthy? Are they living healthier lives as a result of working in a company? I think that's a fair question, and I think people are asking it right now. So anyhow, that was another thing. Regenerative practice is what I'm putting in my backpack. Okay, I don't know if you heard about this, but we had this big pandemic. And it was highly disruptive in almost every way. And did anyone know that was coming? No. It was like, remember that day? You're like, okay, we have to go home. It was like, and we're like, for 2 weeks? We go for a couple of weeks? And then it ended up being a lot longer than that. Highly disruptive. So I love this book. It's called The Great Reset. So it's taking this COVID moment, which was highly disruptive, and said, wow, this really uprooted a lot of the ways we're thinking about work. And maybe out of COVID, the one good thing that can come out is a more inclusive, resilient, and agile and sustainable workplace. Maybe some good comes out of this moment. I'm going to talk about reframing. So like the Great Resignation, maybe it's the Great Acquisition. Guess what? More amazing talent has been dislodged and interested in moving than ever. You heard that today, like how much talent is interested in other work. If you want great talent, if someone leaves, there are 6 people who want to work for your company. It is the largest dislodgement of talent. It is the Great Acquisition, not the Great Resignation. Any Game of Thrones fans? Okay. You'll know what I'm talking about. I'll explain it. In Game of Thrones, there's a guy named Littlefinger. And in this moment, he pauses and he says, chaos is a ladder. And I'm like, that is brilliant. When I like rewound it and like heard it several times, like chaos is a ladder. I'm like, yes, chaos is a ladder. The chaos that COVID created is a ladder to talent. And I thought, how brilliant is that? This is a great acquisition. It created a ladder to talent that we didn't have before, that wasn't moving, people are hanging in, and you have a ladder to amazing talent. Anyhow, chaos is a ladder, little finger. Okay, I also, before Patagonia, I worked for Sears and Kmart. It's basically the same company. And kidding. I just want to talk about this for a minute, because you can do cool things on the Titanic. We all knew. We all knew where we were at this time. We knew we were on the Titanic, everyone. I was a hard time keeping people in HR. I'm like, come join the company. And Sears and Kmart, they're like, that's a Titanic. And so anyhow, it was super clear. And I thought, God, what do we do? Like, how do we keep people? And then I thought about the Titanic. You know, like, wow, what if we do this? I'll make a promise to you. We're going to be the best band. We're going to play the best damn music ever. You're going to be an amazing trombone player. You're going to play the clarinet beautifully. You, over there, you're going to play the drums. You're going to be fantastic at the drums. As a matter of fact, it's a great big company. We have 270,000 people. What is good about that? Data. How do we get dang good at data? How do we become the best data place? We got written up in McGraw-Hill, Cornell, MIT wrote an article about our work in data, and every single person, as things changed, they all stayed, and we all said, you know what, let's do this. Let's be the best band. And people stopped leaving. They stayed because we were doing great HR. That was our purpose. And so when people got a lifeboat, they're now heads of HR. I can't even count on two hands how many people from that time at Sears are heads or CHROs. I can't even count it. Like over 11, 12 people left for better. They were better than we found them, even on the Titanic. So I mention this because I talk about Patagonia, and like, yeah, Patagonia. But you can do this. If I can do this at Sears, you can do this anywhere. So anyhow, that's my point. And then burning glass, and we talked a lot about this today, is just incredible opportunities in front of us about thinking differently about who we're hiring. I always talk at Patagonia, we look at resumes from the bottom up versus from the top down, because that's all the cool stuff is under there. What are you doing? What are you interested in? What are your hobbies? What's that silly thing, COVID strength hero thing that you did that you now crochet? Mine is making pickles, by the way. Much better at canning pickles as my COVID superhero strength that I have. But anyhow, everyone, this really, and Josh really spoke to this a lot today, is there's this huge amount of talent that is there and available. So instead of like, oh my gosh, COVID, like how do we set this in terms of resets? So I'm talking about resetting, reframing, and thinking differently about problems and turning them into opportunity. So this is the other thing I'm taking with me from Patagonia, resetting your mindset. Carol Dweck wrote this great book on mindset, on growth mindsets and fixed mindsets. And it is the handbook on how do you change mindsets from fixed mindsets to growth mindsets or to opportunity mindsets. So anyhow, moving things from the great pandemic to the great recession. Resignation or acquisition, how do you reframe, and just taking challenges and things back into differently, looking at problems as opportunities. This is in my backpack, and I'm going to always use resetting and reframing no matter where I am next on my journey. I hope that's helpful for you and your backpack. If it is, put it in there, and if not, I got something else. I don't know if you know about that, but we hire humans at Patagonia, and you hire humans too. And there's a unique thing about human beings is they kind of are okay with doing all three of these things. They like to mix it. And so I'm going to talk about these. These are all people at work at Patagonia, by the way. These are all pictures of people working and living and playing. And I'll talk about them in a second. When I thought about play, I've talked about play in the past in Patagonia, but I thought, wait a minute, let me look at the research and information of what it is to play. What I discovered is there's a huge amount of research about play in human beings. By the way, it's not uniquely human. it's actually deeper than being a human. It's the mammal in us. Mammals play, dogs play, cats play, raccoons play, beavers play, horses play, elephants, all mammals, dolphins play, whales play. You can see them at play, so it is innate with us as a mammal to play. Not letting us play is a horrible thing. Like the removal of play in life actually is not very healthy. But the experience of play creates some really beautiful things. During play, we think a lot better. We're a lot more creative. We're more adaptable and flexible. And the more we play with others, the more we learn to collaborate and cooperate. And by the way, when you're more collaborative and cooperative, people are more collaborative and cooperative with you. It's a circular benefit. So anyhow, we embrace play in a big way at Patagonia. And this is how it shows up. This is a guy doing product testing in the sheep outfit. So he's testing fleece, but having a little fun. This is work and play. These are interns at New Hire Orientation, surfing, little work, little play. And if they don't like to surf, we can go rock climbing or we'll visit a farm. But this is all how you learn how to work at Patagonia. By the way, this guy right here, second over, his name is Chipper Bro. And he teaches everyone to surf. His literal name is Chipper Bro. And here's some people getting some really important things done in the boardroom, which literally we have a boardroom and a boardroom. And so they're preparing for what I call a board meeting out in the water. So actually I have had a board meeting in the water. I was talking to the recruiters one day. I'm like, oh, put your wetsuits on. Let's go get surfboards. And we all got on the water, had a board meeting, just floating out there talking about how many open positions do we have? Who's next? What's the most important position we need to be working on? Big wave. So anyhow, and these are people at work working on our DEI program in Yosemite. So they are working and living and playing, and this is them doing that work in Yosemite. We sent them to Yosemite, like, go figure this out, go to a beautiful place, get inspired, get some fresh air, and work on this challenge. So at pre-COVID, we're 4% turnover. It went all the way to 8% during COVID. And I always call it the Hotel California. People check in, they don't check out. Without even doing anything, we get 9,000 college applicants for 20 internships at Patagonia. It is highly sought internships. College students want to work for Patagonia because of purpose and work and life and play. It's a highly attractive thing. And we just thought, how can we even raise the bar? So we learned that during COVID, people like to work in other places other than Ventura. And so we thought, God, how do we do this? And people can come back and still commute. And there's a lot of jobs that still have to be done in Ventura. The nature of the job, collaboration, cooperation, or even a piece of equipment they have to work on, like a pattern cutter, has to cut patterns on campus. So anyhow, there's just jobs that had to be done. So we said, okay, why don't we do this? For 4 weeks a year, just work anywhere. Like, if you can do that and do that with your job, just go anywhere on the planet and just do wherever you want to work. It doesn't matter. Talk to your boss, get approval, and that's a new benefit we did as a result of COVID. So I want to move into another topic, is this idea of community and communing. And this is about Patagonia and how we connect and commune. And I just want to, this is all the space that we get in. People are depressed because we aren't in community anymore. And it's really important that we rethink spaces. The science on this is really strong about mental and physical health when we commune as people. Again, the thing we do as humans. And if we could take all these new open spaces we have because people are working from home and turn them to communal spaces, I think there's an opportunity. Finally, women at Patagonia, 100% return from leave. We have full equity in leadership, and we have full equity in pay in women. And these are pictures of women at work. I'm going to talk to you about this first woman, Jenna Johnson. This is her early in her career. And you know what she's doing? She's working. She's at the airport, and she's with her baby and a traveling nanny. At Patagonia, when you're nursing, we send the baby and a traveling companion with the mother. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to women and said, this is our benefit. And they've burst into tears in the interview and said, the worst day of my life is when I poured my breast milk into the toilet in an airport because I couldn't get it through security. I don't know if you know what's, this is not okay. It's not okay. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it, but this should never happen. This is a benefit that should be in everyone's place. You should, if a woman has to work and they're breastfeeding, send them with their baby and send them with a caregiver to take care of them. This should be part of every single policy. Jenna began, and because she could do this, she's the president of Patagonia. She's the president. The next one, this is Julie, nursing. On-site childcare is great. And Chris said it's hard to be a jerk when she's a former CEO when kids are around, and it's actually kind of true. But it doesn't have to be on-site childcare, on-site nursery. You can help people pick great places where there's childcare in their local areas or give vouchers. That's what Guild does. Guild does this. By the way, when they heard about Patagonia, they called us and said, how do we do this? They put in childcare, and they even went one step further and do vouchers. So anyhow, and it's also good for marginalized communities. They're the ones who are having the hardest time taking care of children. Providing childcare allows them at these percentages to excel and move up in organizations at a significant and higher rate. This is what's keeping back a lot of people back. Childcare, taking care of kids, both men and women. So anyhow, this is a great article in Harvard. I'm not gonna drain this slide, but childcare is a business issue, not a family issue. And here are 3 ways that it's sticky. Here you can look up this. You can read this article in Harvard. It came out within the past year. And this is Family Business, our book on how to do this. So if you want to do great things for women in childcare and you want to keep your women and you want them in leadership, then here's this. And here are the outcomes. So I'm going to tell you real quick. I'm trying to figure out how to remember this. You're going to remember this by looking at this woman playing with her child. Or this guy, he's an attorney, showing his office child to someone else at Patagonia. And if this doesn't help to remember it, then this post from a recruiter who says, gosh, why would I have to make this gut-wrenching decision to either leave my job or leave my baby? And she says, don't do this. And then she says, why are we going to hiding in broom closets pumping milk? Like, what if we just visited my baby for a little while, had a great degree of serotonin, and went back to work and kicked ass for the day? So anyhow, this is her post. It's another convincing thing. If not, I want you to remember this and think of a COVID puppy and remember to do this. Like, it's like a trigger. And so anyhow, this is my COVID puppy. This is Ivy, and she's a golden retriever. And I think a lot of people got golden retrievers in their COVID puppy. And anyhow, this is like a triggering thing. You see a golden retriever, you're like, I need to put in childcare. Trigger. It's a triggering moment. Golden retriever, childcare. Yes. If that doesn't work, I'm going to draw an earworm. Did anyone do Schoolhouse Rock? Did you remember that? Okay, this one, my favorite, conjunction. What's your function? Yes, that, remember that one? There are so many, like elementary, my dear, 2 times 2 is 4. Like all those, I totally remember all Schoolhouse Rock. So this one goes, conjunction, what's your function? Here's what I want you to know. To change a function, change a system. So, and it goes on to say, putting together words and making them right. So that's what he says after the conjunction, what's your function? Putting together words and making them right. So I want to change this. To change a function, change a system. Look at your policies and make them right. So to change a function, change the system. Look at your policies and make them right for women. So that's, if conjunction doesn't work, my bad singing might help. And if we can go, anyhow, that's, I'm trying to have an earworm for you or a COVID puppy, just a trigger to remember this because I want you to take action. My final thing is these are our elders at Patagonia, Chris Tompkins, our philosopher, Vincent, and these. And we take care of people throughout the entire life at interns, new in career, when they're parents. And we try to take care of them during retirement. And we have an emeritus program where our retirees take care of future retirees to help them through retirement. So it doesn't feel like a cliff and you just jump off. So we want to do good at all points of life, not just kids, not just interns, but at retirement. And we respect their wisdom and they stay and they tell. They're our best storytellers and our best keepers of culture. So anyhow, I just at the end of this, let them be the human you hired. You hire humans, and humans play. Humans have full lives. And if you hire them like they're going to be there for their entire lives, then yeah, you want to have programs for beginning a career, help them find paths, help them have children, and work with them as they retire and age and move on to something else. Anyhow, change the function, change the system, and rethink your new open spaces. Community, put in a nursery. Put in a nursery in the new open spaces. That's super easy. Let a woman bring her baby to work in that new space because it's now vacated due to COVID or the return. People are open spaces from it. So anyhow, at the end of this is my hope, is that you take some action from this. And that you have things in your backpack, 5 things today, is like a clear purpose in why you exist. Values and what you stand for. Be regenerative, understand what you put in, take out. Reset your mindset and let them be the humans you hired across their entire life. So this was the last thing Amon said to me when I left Patagonia. We were looking at everyone came back and I said, wow, look at that. Everyone's back. The office looks so different. And he said, no people, no company. No people, no company. How brilliant is that? So I'm going to end with this. The past few years, for those of you who've been running HR and running companies, were really hard. Let me just put it out there. You worked harder than ever. You worked more hours than ever. You probably did it with more staff than ever. You probably did it with staff who was exhausted and doing things they'd never done before. Setting up protocols and close or not close, holding the hand of someone whose loved one who died who couldn't go to the funeral. These are things we did in COVID. And you know what this community did? We stood up and we did amazing things. And I just have to say that I'm so proud to be in human resources and leading talent and culture in this moment. We lifted and we are there. And there's never been a better moment for us to stand up and do this. And we're in a different place now. We can do those 5 things. And if someone hasn't told you, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Like the loudest thank you that I can give to all of you. Thank you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you. And if you haven't heard it from anyone at work or a coworker, I'm telling you right now, I'm full of gratitude, and I'm so thankful for you, and I'm leaving you with that. And this is my tunnel I was in on Big Sur. My husband made me take a trip after I left Patagonia, and he said, we're going to go to Big Sur. I want you to take a break. And I walked down this tunnel, and he took this picture of me with my backpack, and I just want to say it's a light. It's not a train. It's a light. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.